Command & Conquer series defined the genre, created a blueprint to copy, and set a high bar that few could reach. But its history has not been without troubles, and there have been some real highs and lows. There are 8 games in the Command & Conquer series if you don't count the browser game C&C Rivals, and believe me, I don't. I do have something of a soft spot for C&C's attempt at a first-person shooter, Renegade, but given it's a totally different genre of game, I'm not including that on the list either. Everyone's got an opinion on which was the best, and where it all went wrong. So here's my opinion. I'm Stratton, and this is every Command & Conquer game ranked, from worst to best. Number 8. Command & Conquer 4, Tiberian Twilight. What else could possibly be in contention to prop up this list? This is the only game on the list that I would consider an out-and-out bad game. All of the others have something about them that is at least a little enjoyable in places. C&C 4's story was a lackluster ending that gave our voiceless protagonist a wife and other irritating companions, and it was all presented with this weird shaky cam effect. But it was the gameplay that was most egregious. C&C 4 stripped away everything that made Command & Conquer the amazing experience that it was. The base building, managing resources, planning attacks to take down enemy strongholds, all gone. And what's worse, it was replaced by this repetitive slog that bored me and frustrated me in equal measure. It is a Command & Conquer game in name only. Number 7. Tiberian Sun. For those of you who have watched my classic reviews of the Command & Conquer franchise, and if not, well then, go check out the playlist, you will know that I gave Tiberian Sun a higher rating than the game I've placed at number 6. So, why the swap around? Well, I thought about it, and unlike the game in the number 6 slot, Tiberian Sun is a dull game. The C&C basics are there, but there isn't much else that grabs me. The use of third-person protagonists with famous talent like Michael Biehn and James Earl Jones was supposed to lend the game some credibility. What it actually did was expose its weaknesses, with the C&C story coming off as hokey and stupid and not in a good way like other games on this list. Tiberian Sun is, well, it's okay. And it does have some iconic unit designs in the GDI Walker mechs, but ultimately, it's a bland game. Number 6. Red Alert 3. Bland is certainly not a word that can be used to describe Red Alert 3. Red Alert 3 is the opposite end of the spectrum, a game that goes all in on the wackiness and ridiculousness that defines a Red Alert series. Sometimes this approach produces pure gold. All of Tim Curry's cutscenes are a sight to behold, along with other performances from J.K. Simmons and George Takei that are also as entertaining as they are ham-fisted. But for me, Red Alert 3 leans into that silliness a bit too much. The 2 prior Red Alert games had an undertone of darkness and grittiness to supplement the ridiculousness. Red Alert 3's graphics, costumes and unit roster is all a bit too cartoonish for my taste, and as such, it is a game that I do not find myself coming back to with any regularity. Number 5. Command & Conquer. If it's any consolation for those of you who are aghast as to how low this one is, I do feel bad about it. The original Command & Conquer is a legendary game that spawned not only an 8-game series, but a plethora of imitators and wannabes. Command & Conquer was to RTS what Doom was to first-person shooters. Not the first, but the one that set the benchmark for all to come. But that being said, it is also, quite noticeably, a first go-around with this formula. For all it did to establish the RTS genre, there were many bugs, flaws and kinks that needed to be ironed out going forward. and Westwood Studios would be successful in going on to perfecting that formula. I salute Command & Conquer for being the legendary, genre-defining game that it is, but I also acknowledge that it was a solid foundation to build upon, not the finished article. Number 4. Command & Conquer 3, Tiberian Wars. EA's first crack at the Tiberian Wars story proved to be a successful one. Command & Conquer 3 was a perfect mix of new and innovative features while still being true to its roots. I also think the EA budget was well spent here in regards to securing big name stars from film and television to lend their talents to the project. The gameplay was intuitive and fun while still having a decent amount of challenge, and the story was engaging. Well, mostly. I was never really a big fan of the screen invasion, where for me, the game goes off the rails a little. But that's not enough to dampen my enjoyment of this game, and overall, I think it was a great experience. Sadly, I think Command & Conquer 3 was the last game in the franchise that I could honestly say that about. Number 3. Red Alert. The first sequel that was meant to be a prequel, and still kinda is, but is also its own game universe, and I'm confused. Red Alert is a wonderful game that took everything that was great from Command & Conquer and built on it, and took everything that was bad about Command & Conquer and either improved it or just cut it entirely. The addition of both air and naval combat into the series took the tactical elements up a notch. Everything, from the gameplay to the story to the excellent cast of characters and cutscenes to the amazing soundtrack, everything is an improvement on what came before. It was so good that it could not be left as a mere prequel to Command & Conquer, instead spawning a new game universe all its own. Number 2. Command & Conquer Generals. Our Generals, the black sheep of the Command & Conquer family. The only game of the series to be based, at least loosely, on real-life issues and contemporary conflicts. Generals was its own story, away from the madness of alien invasions, alternate futures, and immortal demagogues. It was inspired by the all-too-real War on Terror, which, given its 2003 release, was a very hot take. Generals also did its own thing in regards to base building and resource collection. Despite its differences, what remained was an excellently made RTS game that told a fantastic, grounded story and delivered on both gameplay and presentation. It was a phenomenal game that to this day I am happy to play over and over again. I just wish that they had explored the story a bit more through the use of interesting characters, something admittedly they did try to rectify in the expansion pack 0 Hour. Generals was the first Command & Conquer game post-EA acquisition, and sadly, it was the best. They wouldn't be all bad post-Generals, but they were on a downward trajectory that led to the god-awful mess that was CNC4. Number 1. Red Alert 2. Could it be anything else? EA may have peaked early, but Westwood Studios' final solo Command & Conquer game was as good a swan song as you could ever hope for. If you haven't checked out my classic review of this game, please do, so you can listen to me gush over this game in the detail it deserves. To put it simply, here, the story is a ridiculously over-the-top epic with some real dark and troubling moments throughout. A story of mind control, paranoia and betrayal alongside a hugely destructive conflict that takes place across multiple recognisable locations in the United States and beyond. The game plays wonderfully. The soundtrack is the best of the entire series. The characters and cutscenes are the best of the entire series. Simply put, Red Alert 2 is the best of the entire series. Maybe even the RTS genre at large. I hope and pray that Red Alert 2 will be getting the remaster treatment soon, just like its predecessor did. Red Alert 2 is as close to a perfect strategy game that I think I've ever played. Thank you so much for watching. Do you agree with me, or am I a terrible person with terrible opinions? If I am wrong, then please post your list in the comments below, alongside with any other series you'd like to see get ranked. Just a reminder that I've reviewed all these games in detail, so check those out if you haven't done so already. Or even if you have, watch them again. What else have you got to do today? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'm Strat Tom, and I'll see you next time.